A 236P is known as a forward quarter circle into a punch button, examples being a Hadouken. If you just needed a quick definition, you're good to go. But if you want a detailed explanation, please stick around for the rest of the video. You're probably wondering why numbers are used instead of normal letters to describe motion inputs, and the answer is simple. Fighting games are enjoyed by people of various nationalities and languages. Chances are, if you wanted to share a combo, you would want as many people to understand what moves are being done. You could describe a crouching medium punch as a CR.MP, and that would work. The only problem is that the only people who understand what CR.MP means are people who speak English. So, fighting game players decided to use a number pad to describe motions, as the number pad on a keyboard is always in the same order regardless of the language spoken by the player. Fighting game players use numpad notation to describe what moves they are using. This is because numpads have 9 numbers, and fighting games usually have 8 directions that can be inputted in-game, so every number is given a direction, with the exception being the number 5, as number 5 represents the neutral position, or the position where no direction is being inputted. The rules of numpad are simple. If you're crouching, you're holding down 2. Moving forward or backwards is 4 and 6 depending on what side you're on, and jumping is 7, 8, and 9. 1 and 3 are crouching block depending on the side as well. 5 is no input, or neutral. Depending on the game, the English letter can either describe a punch or kick button if you're playing Street Fighter, or a punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, and dust if you're playing Guilty Gear. Depending on what game you're playing, you should translate the last letter depending on your game. With the basics done, let's translate some common motion inputs. These inputs are assuming you're on the left side, or the player 1 side. 236 is a forward quarter circle. Some examples are Hadouken, can be spiral arrow, and bison scissor kick. 214 is a backwards quarter circle. Some examples include Tatsumaki, Luke's flash knuckle, and Ed's psycho blitz. 623 is the dragon punch input, or DP. Some examples include Shoryuken, Kami's cannon spike, and Terry's rising tackle. Most super inputs are simply just 2 forward or backward quarter circles. So 2 forwards would be 236, 236, and 214, 214, or backward quarter circle. But some other fighting games have other super inputs, mainly a half circle followed up by a forward input. This can be translated as 632146. These super inputs are mostly used in Guilty Gear Strive. If you are on the player 2 side, or the right side, it's as simple as just mirroring the inputs. So, a forward quarter circle would be 214, a backward quarter circle would be 236, a dragon punch input would be 421, 2 forward circles would be 214, 214, and 2 backward quarter circles would be 236, 236, and a half circle forward would be 412, 364. I would also like to mention not every input is directly translated. I, of course, am speaking of. If we were to literally translate a full circle input, it would be 632147896. So instead of typing and saying that out loud every time, it's simply a lot easier to just call it a 360. Not to mention the entire input is just a full circle, so you're doing a full 360 to even input it in the first place. A double full circle input as well breaks numpad's rules too. Instead of it being called a 360-360, it's called a 720. These rules also apply to half circles. Instead of calling it a 63214, they're simply called 180. Lastly, I'd like to mention jump inputs. Instead of an 8 to describe a jump, it's translated to be a lowercase j. This is because one symbol is easier to read and translate than JUMP. With that, I've gone over the basics of numpad notation. I hope this video helps you learn what a 236P is, but also how numpad notation works in fighting games.